35 years with this wonderful family who I've grown to love like my own family. And now we see the pot at the end of the rainbow, so to speak, or their freedom. I want to do a hat tip to Judge Jessic, who was able to cancel out all the noise surrounding this, all of the grandstanding, all of the political back and forth. And he did what the code section said he should do. He did what justice said should happen. And he struck the special circumstance, and he sentenced them to 50 to life, which means they're immediately eligible. For those who don't know, in a couple of weeks, there is already a clemency hearing set. There's also a response due in the habeas next month?
Yes.
Next month. And so all bets are still on. The resentencing has happened. I actually made a call. First call I made was to Leslie Abramson. I couldn't get a hold of Leslie. It went straight to voicemail. I have long admired Leslie. I think about her often in this courthouse, actually, because one of the last trials she did was in this courthouse. She did say something a number of years ago that no amount of TikTokers was going to ever change anything. And so I was calling to tease her. And so, Leslie, I will tell you, it's a whole different world we live in now. And one of the things that I think is important is to recognize that, like the legislature has done, we have evolved. This is not the 90s anymore. We have a more robust understanding of a lot of things. And I hat tip to the family, and I'll let them, after we answer a couple of questions, speak about what this means to them. I just know that on a day like today, that redemption is possible. And to those, you saw X-rated talk today, you saw kind of the ridiculous nature of the cross-examination. You can turn anything on its head. The fact is, the Menendez brothers have done remarkable work, and today is a great day after 35 years.
Did you talk to Eric and Lyle really quick after this? What's the reaction?
I told them to call me on their burner phone.
Are you
Okay.
disappointed that you guys don't have to face the parole board instead of them walking free tonight?
I argued, and I still believe that they should be out.
Who are you? What's your name?
Mark Garrigus, how are you? Hi. So I understand what's happening. The governor would only have that ability constitutionally if the parole board does it. Right now, what is pending is, because it's 50 to life, they're immediately eligible. The first thing that is set is the clemency hearing, which is, I believe, on June 13th. So the clemency board, and this is something new, will make a recommendation to the governor, and then the governor will take action either before or after. So, yes, Jim.
A lot of people thought when you, around Thanksgiving, you said, I want them to be home by then, and people said it's never going to happen. You said they will be resentenced. This is a huge victory for you and for the family, clearly. What do you think a realistic timeline is now to finally see freedom for the brothers?
I've said ever since my failed prediction of Thanksgiving dinner that 2025 would be their year. I mean, they got caught, ironically, they've been caught in politics 30 years ago in a DA's race. They got caught in politics now in 2024, and I'm hopeful now that Judge Jessic did what he was supposed to do. And I'm hopeful that now that the right thing will be done and they'll walk out. You know, they've got a family, and I think the takeaway for me today was that the family, this has become, their trauma has become kind of the subject of prurient interest. But they are a real family, real people who have lived through unimaginable horrors. And I'm hopeful and glad that we're one huge step closer to bringing the boys home. Thanks. Yes.
Mark,
Are you concerned about the
No, I'm not concerned with that. I think at this point, the record is such that the code section calls for this. This was from my mind, this was the minimum that they should get. It also, somebody mentioned this to me in the courtroom just now. This is a decision that I think will reverberate in the criminal justice system. One of the things that we have argued all along, and what the judge said today, the judge commented today, this is one of the most remarkable, and he used that term, remarkable transformations. And he said, while the crime was truly horrific and remarkable, the 35 years since, what they have accomplished is remarkable, with no hope. And we've said that since day one. And so, with no hope, this encourages people who are incarcerated to make the right decisions, to take the right path. So it's just a win-win on so many levels. And I will let the family talk. I could not, yes.
Mark,
I have not talked yet to Joan, but I'm hoping I'll let the family say that. I'll let the family
do you
say
have a
that.
lighter? I need to smoke a cigarette. Mark, do you have a fucking lighter?
Hi everyone.
Mark,
This is a good day.
It's Mr. Hockman's PR person.
Mark,
No, can
Do you
you
have a lighter?
do me a favor? No, I don't
Do you
have
have a lighter?
He does right there.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You tell
All-
Mr. Hockman does. He's right over
Hollywood.
there. He's hiding in the
Hollywood
bushes.
is making
We have a lot of thank yous
fucked up.
today from the family. Mark Garagos,
It's Hollywood.
Cliff Gardner.
You're going to call me in 3 minutes?
Thank you so much. You have brought hope to this family that we didn't see coming.
You know, we would be remiss if I didn't thank Alexandra Kazarian, my partner who's here behind me, if I didn't thank Milena Blake and Mike Romano. There's Milena back there. I apologize for Milena. It's got to be tough to sit at the council table and have me there kind of bulldoze my way through. So I said I thank X-Rated for having to subject himself to that brutality. But most of all for the family. I just couldn't be happier for you guys. It really is tremendous. Thank you. Talk to them.
There is, this is the step in the right direction, but is there any worry or hesitation at all about the brother's facing the plan board?
Okay, yes. So, right, this is a step towards the parole process. Of course, June 13th, they will meet with the parole board. And, you know, in the state of California, it's a pretty stringent process. So we are very hopeful. I thanked Mark. I thanked Cliff. There's an entire legal team. But ultimately, we are here today with this result because of Eric and Lyle, because they chose to live their lives with clarity and a purpose of service that the judge was impressed by. And so a huge thanks to them, too, for being the kind of people that we could bring home.
Did you expect this today?
What was it like for you to hear the brothers speak in their own words and say in no uncertain terms what they did was horrible, they blamed no one but themselves, they asked for forgiveness, how they thanked the family, and they embraced the love from the family?
It was very moving. I think everybody in the courtroom was moved by that. They've said those words to me personally before. That was not the first time that I had heard them take full accountability for their actions, for the effect that it had on my life, and express that. So I'm glad everyone else got to hear it.
Can you talk about the brothers' reaction to the hearing, the result of
I haven't talked to them yet.
any
Yes.
kind of in the courtroom? Were you able to see any reaction or anything like that?
I couldn't really see. You know, I mean, they're on a screen, so I couldn't really see facial reactions, but I imagine that they will be pleased from today. You know. Yes, so for my Spanish-speaking reporters, you have a treat today, which is my cousin Marta is going to follow me, and she is going to speak to you in Spanish. So you'll get the full thing and answer questions as well for anyone who is talking and speak. And what's next? Well, we still have, you know, we have to go through the parole process, which is going to be very difficult for the family. That is a difficult that is a difficult process for the family to go through. We were certainly hoping for manslaughter, time served, so that we wouldn't have to go through this process, but we will eagerly step through those doors if that means getting them home. So also I want to say a thank you before I forget to Judge Jessic for being fair, for reading the law as it was written. Like Mark said, for not getting caught up in the drama of the situation, but for simply applying the law. So grateful to him as well. I am so happy that I wore waterproof mascara is how I'm feeling, because I have been crying all day long. So these are tears of joy for sure, and we're very excited. Yeah.
Diana, can we hear from you since you
Thank you.
testified during the first trial?
Can you hold on until Marta talks? Thank you so much.
Dígame, mi nombre es Marta Cano Hallowell, yo soy hija Trina de Lyle y Eric, hija de Marta, que es una de sus tías, hermana de José. Así que estoy aquí para contestar preguntas para ustedes que hablan español.
¿Cómo te sientes con esta parcial triunfo legal de los hermanos?
Muy agradecida, muy emocionada. Ellos han trabajado mucho para esto. Esto no viene de gratis. Y han puesto su vida, han dedicado su vida a mejorarse y nosotros estamos aquí para apoyarlos y muy felices. Es un paso grandísimo el de hoy.
¿Cuáles son las expectativas que tiene la familia en este momento para el siguiente paso?
El siguiente paso es en unas cuantas semanas con el parole board, que veremos a ver. Ahí vamos, con los abogados otra vez a presentar el caso. El gobernador tendrá algo que ver con eso también.
¿Cuál es el resultado que esperan de ese día?
No sabemos. Esperamos, claro, que les den parole, pero no estamos seguros.
¿Nos podrías describir, yo sé que fue a través de una pantalla, la reacción de ellos?
En realidad es muy difícil ver reacción en las pantallas. No quiero poner palabras en su boca en estos momentos. Prefiero que ellos puedan decir ellos mismos.
Sin embargo, cuando estaban describiendo, cuando el fiscal describió pues lo que había pasado nuevamente, no lo que ellos hicieron, ¿no? Se les vio bastante afectados y también al momento de que ellos admiten su culpabilidad, o sea, vemos a Lion en lágrimas.
Sí, estamos todos en lágrimas, ellos y nosotros.
¿Alguna vez dudaron que ese momento llegaría?
Esperábamos, nadie sabe y rezábamos que pasara, pero no sabíamos. Bueno, muchas gracias. Y
Gracias.
I just really want to thank Judge Jessic, Mark Garagos, Mike Romano, Alexandra Kazarian, Milena, Cliff Gardner, all of them. This is something my grandmother Joan has fought for 35 years. I really wish she was here today, but I'm really excited to give her the news. Beyond that, I really hope that this sets the precedence for other LWOP inmates who have shown transformation and change and have done the same as Eric and Lyle, and created careers for themselves and created new hopes for themselves while they have been incarcerated. So with that, thank you for everybody's support.
All right, Diane. All right.
Hi, good afternoon, good evening.
Gracias.
Step up to the mic.
De nada.
¿Nos puede decir cómo se siente?
No, no sé, no, estoy muy feliz y con esperanza, por fin, la primera vez en 94 se me hace, fue una injusticia y hoy un milagro. Es como un milagro. No sé más que decir. You wanted to ask me a question?
She can take questions in English.
You know, during the trial, the second trial, the defense was stripped of their entire defense. And it was an injustice. Their decision, the judge's decision, it was unjust. And today, Judge Michael Jessic followed the law, followed reasoning, and gave a hopeful resolution to this finally, after 35 years.
Jane, what did you tell Judge Jessic today? And I mean, obviously you heard your message. What did you tell him? Why?
I asked him to be merciful because they have transformed themselves from the dark days when they were early on, when they were first sentenced to prison without hope, in despair, and from that they have blossomed into incredible human beings. They are remarkable men, and they are strong individuals, and all they want is to service and to help and to create positive consequences to every action. That's all they want. And I am 150% sure that when they are released, they will continue on that path. None of us believe that it would be anything less.
Yeah. And I was just saying, if and when they're released, what would they like to do with their futures?
Continue giving service back to the community, helping other programs, widening the scope of the programs that they have going at Donovan, and servicing the same programs, growing that into other prisons as well.
So the beautification project?
Yes, yes. The green, yes, exactly. Yes. I would like to, at this point, give the floor to Honoré.
Hello, everyone. My name is Honoré Brown, A-N-E-R-A-E, Brown like the color. I'm the person they refer to as X-rated. A lot of people, there's a lot of information out there about my personal experience being incarcerated with Lyle and Eric, ultimately having them come to be mentors for me, and even me becoming a sponsor for Eric as a life prisoner with 31 to life, becoming a youthful offender, seeing the laws change, and ultimately being free. Doing a CRA exam myself, going through the board myself, I can assure everyone here that the brothers will do a great job when they get to board. I'm very proud of them for continuing in this way to lead. When I say that they're leading, what I mean is that the fact that they pursued so many different rehabilitative opportunities, that they instituted so many different programs and made it this far, is going to produce a sort of hope in a hopeless environment that people have never seen. And I know those jaded types who would like to say that this is some special thing and it doesn't apply to everyone. Me standing here being free is a statement to the contrary on that. It is, in fact, going to have a positive impact on that environment. People who wouldn't have went to rehabilitative programs, who wouldn't have done self-help because they were hopeless, can now believe that if they do the right things and that they do it with great consistency, that they can see a positive outcome similar to this. And so this is a victory for restorative justice. This is a victory for other people who have changed their lives in that hopeless circumstance. and will have an opportunity to be able to go to board themselves if they keep doing the right thing.
I have a question. If you had not met Lyle and Eric in prison, do you think you would still be in prison?
I would still be in prison, in my humble opinion. I believe that the behaviors that I was engaging in as a gang member, as somebody who was hopeless with a life sentence, I believe that I would have made my change as a result of the implementation of the law, like a lot of people have done. And ultimately, they're still there because their change can be questioned. When there's positive reinforcement, I don't like to tell people that I have something good for them when I ask them if they would like to participate, because if they knew, they might only accept the opportunity for the reward. So I like the fact that, you have people who make a decision to change, and it's an inherent thing. And I had that opportunity, and I believe that if not for Lyle and Eric, I may not have believed that for myself as early as I did, to allow me to have already been living that life when the law changed, instead of being motivated after it changed. I'll take anything that'll cause someone who's done something horrible to sincerely want to change their lives. Whatever we can do to tip that domino for them, I'll take it. However, for those who decided to do it when there was no hope, I think that's a greater statement about the sincerity of their change.
I'm curious what you thought of their statements today. This is the first time the public has been able to hear from them during these hearings. What did you hear with these folks?
As someone who communicates with them frequently and still has spent more time with Lyle and Eric than I have with my mother, even though I've been free for 7 years, right? I knew that about them, that they had accepted responsibility, that they, even in an itemized way. So I thought I was more happy that they had an opportunity for other people to hear it, because it's a very consistent thing with them.
So what was it like for you to hear the DA consistently pounding them that they hadn't accepted responsibility when you knew that they already had? What was that like?
That was very challenging for me, but I think it was rewarding, the fact that after they had given an itemized statement of their insight, their remorse, very specific, what they were remorseful for, what they had insight for, how they felt about the way they'd impacted the family, for him to stand up and still repeat the fact that they had no insight, that they didn't understand and weren't accepting responsibility, highlights the fact that there was nothing that anyone could say that would have changed their tune. That was their song, and they were going to sing it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Honorary Brown.